She reached over, not because she needed to, not because the moment called for it. Her hand landed on your arm for exactly 2 seconds too long, and you laughed it off, told yourself it was nothing, and went home replaying it at midnight anyway. Here's what nobody tells you: women don't touch by accident. Every hand on your forearm, every brush against your shoulder, every fingers through hair moment in front of you is a decision her body made before her mind approved it. And there's one specific touch, one that almost every man misses completely, that separates polite friendliness from a woman who is quietly, desperately hoping you'll notice her. So, what is it? And why does she do it without even realizing she's doing it? If you've ever left an interaction with a woman replaying every touch, every laugh, every lingering look, trying to decode whether it meant something or whether you're just seeing what you want to see, this video is built for exactly that moment in your head. That 11 p.m. spiral where you're staring at the ceiling asking, was that real or was I imagining it? You're not imagining it. And you're not crazy for caring. Somewhere along the way, men got told that noticing this stuff makes you needy, that a real man doesn't overthink a woman's body language. That's wrong, and honestly, it's the opposite of the truth. The men who understand female psychology at this level aren't anxious. They're calibrated. They read a room correctly instead of guessing. That's not weakness. That's emotional intelligence most men never develop because nobody ever taught them how. Here's exactly what you're going to walk away with today. First, you're going to learn the specific touch, the one touch out of dozens of physical signals that psychologists consider one of the strongest unconscious indicators of romantic attraction in women. It's not the one most men think it is, and once you see it, you will never miss it again in any interaction for the rest of your life. Second, you're going to understand the psychology underneath it, why her body does this before her conscious mind gives permission, and why that gap between instinct and intention is exactly where real attraction lives. This isn't guesswork. This is rooted in real research on nonverbal communication and courtship behavior, the kind of science that dating gurus skim past because it's less flashy than a one-liner that supposedly works on every woman. Third, and this is where it gets practical. You're going to learn exactly what to do the moment you spot this signal. Because recognizing attraction is only half the equation. Most men freeze right there. They see the signal, feel the spike of hope, and then do absolutely nothing with it. And the moment dissolves into nothing. I'm going to give you the exact response that keeps that window open instead of letting it close. Now, here are two things I want you holding on to for the rest of this video because I'm going to come back to them. One, there is a touch that means the opposite of attraction, one that men consistently misread as a green light when it's actually her being polite, and I'll show you exactly how to tell the two apart, because confusing them is how good men embarrass themselves. Two, there's a moment later in this video where I'll explain why a woman who likes you will sometimes touch you less, not more. And if you don't understand why, you will misread the single clearest signal she's capable of giving you. Stay with me, because everything after this point builds on what I'm about to show you. This is the part where most men finally understand what they've been missing their entire dating life. Most men believe attraction shows up in the obvious places: eye contact, a smile that lasts a half second too long, maybe a compliment. And sure, those things matter. But here's the problem. Women learn to control those signals early in life. Eye contact can be performed. A smile can be polite. Society trains women to be warm and approachable to everyone, so the obvious signals get diluted by nice girl conditioning until they're almost useless as data. Touch is different. And this is the part almost nobody explains correctly. Touch bypasses the part of the brain that manages social performance. When a woman touches you, she's not running it through the same filter she uses for a practice smile. It's closer to instinct, closer to what psychologists call an affiliative gesture, a physical bid for closeness that the body initiates faster than the conscious mind can approve or veto it. So here's the one that matters most, the one most men completely miss: self-touch in your direction, not her touching you. Her touching herself, her neck, her collarbone, twirling her hair, adjusting her sleeve while she's talking to you, and specifically while maintaining eye contact with you as she does it. This looks like nothing. It looks like a nervous habit, a fidget, something you'd scroll past without a second thought. But here's what's actually happening underneath it. This is called adaptive self-soothing, and in courtship contexts, it functions as a subconscious display. Her nervous system is regulating arousal, real physiological arousal caused by being near someone she's attracted to, and it's doing it by drawing attention to vulnerable areas of her body: the neck, the collarbone, the wrist. These are areas she would never expose like this to someone she felt neutral about. Think about the last time a woman was talking to you and her hand kept drifting to her neck or collarbone while she held eye contact a beat longer than a normal conversation requires. You probably filed it under "she's just talkative" or "maybe she's cold." But her nervous system was doing something her conscious mind hadn't caught up to yet. Here's a scenario. You're at a friend's gathering, you strike up a conversation with a woman you just met, and 15 minutes in, you notice her hand keeps drifting to her collarbone every time you say something that makes her laugh. She's not doing it on purpose. If you asked her about it directly, she'd probably deny it or not even realize it's happening. That gap between what her body is doing and what her conscious mind knows it's doing is exactly why this signal is so reliable. She can't fake something she's not aware of. Now, here's where cognitive dissonance comes in, and this is the part that explains why so many men get confused by mixed signals. A woman can be genuinely attracted to you on a physiological level while simultaneously telling herself she's just being friendly, because admitting attraction, especially early, especially to herself, feels risky. Her ego wants to protect her from rejection before it happens, so her mind downplays what her body is already broadcasting. That's why she might do the self-touch signal 1 minute and then say something dismissive the next. It's not manipulation. It's not mixed signals in the way you think. It's two different systems in her: instinct and self-protection, running at different speeds. This is also why the obvious signals fail men so often. A woman can smile, laugh at your jokes, and still walk away because those signals are partly performed, partly polite. But self-touch toward vulnerable areas of her body, paired with sustained eye contact, that's not politeness. That's her nervous system telling on her. So now you know what to look for. But knowing what it means is only step one. The real question, the one that actually changes your dating life, is what you do the moment you see it. Because here's the truth most men never hear: spotting attraction and capitalizing on it are two completely different skills, and almost nobody teaches the second one. That's what we're covering right now. You need to understand something before we get into the steps. Recognizing the signal without knowing how to respond is like reading a green light and staying parked at the intersection. The signal is an invitation, not a guarantee. And what you do in the next 30 seconds after noticing it determines whether that invitation stays open or quietly closes. Step 1. Mirror the energy, don't chase it. The moment you notice self-touch paired with eye contact, your instinct might be to lean in harder, get more animated, try to seal the deal with charm. Don't. What actually works is subtle physical mirroring, adjusting your own posture to open slightly toward her, maintaining relaxed eye contact back, without amplifying your energy beyond what she's showing you. Here's the psychology. Mirroring activates something called limbic synchrony, where two nervous systems start unconsciously matching each other's rhythm. It's the same mechanism that makes yawning contagious. When you mirror calmly instead of escalating, her nervous system reads you as safe and compatible rather than as someone performing for her. The common mistake here is overcorrection. Men see the signal, get a hit of adrenaline, and start performing, talking faster, joking harder, trying too hard to keep the moment alive. That performance energy actually interrupts the exact nervous system sync you're trying to build. You end up sabotaging the connection at the precise moment it started forming. Step 2, create a moment of stillness. This one feels counterintuitive, but it's one of the most powerful tools you have. After she does the self-touch signal, don't immediately fill the silence. Let there be a beat, 1 or 2 seconds of comfortable, unhurried silence where you're just looking at her, present, not scrambling for the next thing to say. Silence forces a moment of decision. It removes the noise and gives her nervous system room to register what's happening between you without the distraction of constant talking. Here's why this works on a psychological level. Constant chatter is often a subconscious anxiety response, and women pick up on that anxiety instinctively. It reads as insecurity, not confidence. A man who can hold silence without rushing to fix it signals emotional regulation, and emotional regulation is one of the most attractive traits a man can display, more than any joke or line you could deliver. The mistake most men make here is panicking at the first sign of quiet and flooding it with words, jokes, or questions. That panic is visible. It undoes everything the stillness was building. Step 3, escalate physically but only incrementally. If the self-touch signal continues or intensifies, this is your cue that light physical escalation on your end will likely be well received. A brief touch on the arm during a laugh, a hand near the small of her back if you're walking somewhere together. Keep it brief, keep it natural. The goal isn't to test how far you can push, it's to show her that you noticed her signal and you're comfortable, not hesitant in responding to it. The psychology here ties back to reciprocity. Attraction tends to build through small escalations that get matched, not through one big move that forces a decision. Each small, comfortable escalation that gets a positive response builds trust that the next one will feel good too. The mistake here is going too big too fast. A hand on the waist when a brief touch on the arm was called for. That kind of overreach breaks the trust you were just building and can flip her nervous system from open to defensive in an instant. Step 4. Verbally acknowledge the connection, not the signal. At some point, not immediately, but once you feel the moment has built, say something that names the connection, never the physical tell you noticed. Something like, I like talking to you, this is easy, works far better than anything that references her body language directly. Naming the physical signal makes a woman feel watched and analyzed, which kills the very instinctive comfort you're trying to build. Naming the feeling between you validates what her body has already been telling her without embarrassing her or making the moment feel clinical. The common mistake, and this one is almost universal among men who've just learned this kind of information, is getting excited about what they've spotted and directly commenting on it. I noticed you keep touching your neck. Feels clever in your head. It lands as unsettling in reality. Never name the tell, name the feeling. Step 5, exit before the peak, not after. This is the step most men never learn, and it's the one that separates men who build lasting attraction from men who accidentally talk their way out of it. When a conversation is going well, the instinct is to keep it going as long as possible. Don't. End the interaction, get her number, suggest meeting again, or simply say goodbye while the energy is still high, not when it started to fade. Here's the psychology. This ties to something called the peak end rule, where people remember experiences based on their most intense point and how they ended, not the total duration. If you end things while the connection is still strong, that's what she remembers. If you let the conversation run until it naturally fizzles, that fizzle becomes the memory instead. The mistake here is fear-based. Men worry that leaving too early looks like disinterest, so they stay too long trying to prove their interest instead. It has the opposite effect every time. Now, I want to talk to the version of you that's watching this at 1 a.m., replaying a conversation from 3 days ago, trying to remember if her hand really did linger on her collarbone, or if you've just talked yourself into seeing something that wasn't there. That anxiety you're feeling right now, the overthinking, the second guessing, the mental replay loop, it doesn't mean you're doing something wrong. It means you care about getting this right. And somewhere along the way, you were taught that caring this much makes you weak. It doesn't. It makes you paying attention in a world where most men aren't paying attention at all. Here's the reframe I need you to sit with. The patience it takes to notice these signals correctly, to respond without rushing, to hold stillness instead of panicking. That patience isn't the absence of confidence. It is confidence. A man who needs to move fast, who needs constant reassurance, who can't sit in a beat of silence without filling it. That man is operating from anxiety, even if it looks like boldness from the outside. The man who can wait, who can read the room accurately and respond at the right pace instead of the fastest pace, is the one whose presence actually feels safe to be around. And feeling safe is the single most underrated ingredient in attraction. Nobody talks about it because it's not flashy, but it's the thing that makes a woman lean toward you instead of away. So when you're in that moment, when you've just learned to spot the signal and every instinct in your body wants to rush the next 5 steps because you're afraid the window will close, remember that the window doesn't close because you moved slowly. It closes because you moved anxiously. Slow and grounded keeps it open. Fast and desperate is what shuts it. This isn't about tricking anyone into feeling something they don't feel. Nothing in this video works if the attraction isn't already there. You're not manufacturing a signal. You're learning to correctly read one that already exists and respond to it like a man who understands what's happening instead of a man who's guessing in the dark. That distinction matters. Real confidence isn't loud. It's accurate. It's the quiet certainty of knowing what you're looking at instead of hoping you're reading it right. Every man who's ever gotten good at this started exactly where you are right now, noticing things for the first time, unsure if they're overanalyzing, wondering if this knowledge will actually change anything. It will. Not because a signal in a video changes who you are, but because learning to read people accurately, to respond calmly instead of anxiously, to hold stillness instead of chasing. That skill doesn't just show up in dating, it shows up everywhere, in how people trust you, in how rooms feel calmer when you walk into them. That's what you're actually building here, not a trick. A version of yourself who isn't guessing anymore. So the next time you're standing across from someone and you catch that small, involuntary gesture, her hand drifting toward her collarbone, her eyes staying on you a half second longer than they need to, you won't spiral. You'll know exactly what you're looking at, and you'll know exactly what to do with it. If this helped you see something you've been missing, that's exactly why I made it. Hit subscribe if you want more of this. The real psychology, not the recycled one-liners you've heard 100 times before. And drop a comment telling me the moment you realized someone was giving you this signal without you even knowing it. I read every single one.